root of,
Say that?
you get to like the root of why parents parent the way they do, like generational parenting.
You take into account there is like a recording in the mind of the parent, right? There is
Mhm.
something that is fixed in there that has come from generation to generation. Yes, that's a very very one very important one. What else is different?
Think there's foundations of like compassion and empathy, sympathy, aspects like that that might not be in other kind of frameworks.
Okay, yeah, there's an emphasis on empathy and compassion, right? What else? I haven't heard the two ones that I want to hear.
Well, I know one thing that sticks out to me at least is that we're not telling parents what to do.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
I
what?
think another one is when you said that the weekend or the ideas focus more on the parents than the children behaviors, because the children behavior is a symptom.
Is let's not call it symptom because it pathologizes it a little bit, right?
Uh-huh.
So let's look for another word.
Mm. Or are reflecting the lack, or yeah, the lack of
Let's
some
call it
abilities or skills parenting, maybe.
let's call it a language. So every behavior is telling us a story.
Mm-hmm.
Child is tired. The child doesn't feel included. The child doesn't feel mm, uh, fully that he or she belongs, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So it's a language. So behavior is a language.
Uh-huh.
What do you do with language? What do you have to do with language? If somebody's speaking to you in a different language, what do you do?
Listen.
Yeah, but if it's a different language, what do you
You
have
have
to
to translate it
Ah,
so you can
try to
understand it.
understand. Yeah.
do? Right? So when a child is misbehaving, which is the
Mm-hmm.
word that people use, instead of saying, you behave or else, right? We want the parent to say, let me see what your behavior means. What is the behavior telling me?
Mm-hmm.
You're too tired? Are you hungry? Do you feel excluded for some reason? So you read the behavior to see what is it telling you, and
So we're targeting like meeting the needs rather than targeting changing the behavior.
the behavior will change automatically.
Right, if we address the needs, because
Right.
they're trying to communicate their needs through the behavior.
They're trying to communicate needs. That's correct. Okay. Now, Lizzie knows more about that because she's been more time with Diana, and Diana always talks about Alison Schaefer, right? It talks about the four C's, which are, okay. Now, there's still two things. I mean, if you're training parents in compassionate parenting, in hard-minded parenting, what are the two things that you need to make emphasis in? We're talking about a learning process, right? So what did we say about a learning process? Was
It's
it
collaborative, like there's reflective feedback, like how we're doing our
reflective?
journals.
It needs to be reflective,
Okay.
right? Because, I mean, how many lectures have you attended and the next day you don't remember anything? What she said? She said something interesting in the middle of the talk, and I can't remember. Do you remember what she said? Nobody knows because nobody took the time to review their notes, right? To
Right.
think about it, to see how can I make this learning mine. Now, as adults, we have a lot of information in our minds already, a lot of information. So how do we make a little space for new information? We need to think about where, it's like when you bring a new object to a room, you just think, where am I going to put it? Right? How am I going to use it? What's the use of this? If you don't do the reflection, you're not going to remember anything. So that's why the notes that you send me are so very important. Even if I don't give you questions, it's just, even if you don't receive my video, just go and see what did she say? What was from what we talked yesterday? What's still in my mind? Okay, and then there is one other thing that is also very, very important, which is inductive discipline. Do you remember what we said about inductive discipline? No? Okay. Okay. Well, what's induction? What does that term mean?
Maybe as parent, when some attitude I try to the kids do that I want to he do. I don't know if it's clear. No. Inductive is when I impose or when I giving an instruction and it's something that he don't have any option, just like that my
the opposite of that.
Really?
Absolutely the opposite.
Okay, perfect. My time for learning.
What we want the parent is to think about it, right? And then what do we want the child to do? To think about it also. Right? So I gave this example, and I'll give it again, is you have the child who slapped the sister, right? And instead of, don't do that, you're a bad person, you're blah, 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 instead of instilling shame and guilt, what you want to do is to have the child think, how is your sister feeling because of what you did? How do you think she's feeling? Why is she crying? You just slap her and she's crying. What is she feeling? Right? The child needs to do the process. It's like connects with her. What do I feel when somebody hits me? Right? And so that's how the empathy starts. Yeah, that's empathy. Empathy is trying to see, okay, you're doing this. And what does it mean? And how does it feel? What do you see? What do you feel? What do you think? So what's the last one of the three? Thinking. But you do the inductive. Induction means that I'm not telling you. It's what the exercise that we're doing right now is inductive.
It's more the own reflection. Invite the kids to do the reflection, the own reflection about her behaviors.
Right. Now, a 1-year-old is not going to do a lot of induction because the cognitive process is still very basic, right? But we start asking and say, remember how you felt when you fell. Remember what happened in the, was that the, preschool, whatever you're attending. Remember what happened, you came crying because somebody had hit you. Remember what you felt.
But the idea is put the kids in the other shoes.
Yeah, right? But how do I put myself in the other person's shoes if I don't remember how it felt? You want to connect the feeling, my feeling with your feeling. That's the basis of empathy.
So would you say it's kind of important too for parents to, in those moments where they fell, right, to help the child verbalize the feelings or explore what those feelings are so that when we're encouraging them to have empathy, they're able to connect that? Because I know sometimes like parents a big one that I hear is like, oh, don't react if they fall, right? Because if you start saying, oh, like, does that hurt, whatever, but like just in general, helping them have that language is almost like leading up to this, would you say?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's I mean, of course you're gonna tend the arms if the kid falls, of course, right? But you start verbalizing, oh my God, did you hit yourself? Does it hurt? You know, where does it hurt? You start making language for the emotions, for the feelings.
Okay. Yeah.
That's all inductive. And I gave you,
I have a question, Sylvia.
go ahead.
So something that I've seen a lot is parents making kids apologize. Like, say sorry for what you did, or else we can't do this. Like using apologies, almost like forcing them on kids. How could we maybe address that in like a different way? Like, especially with like, let's say that happens and we see it with a parent we work with. How could we maybe like challenge the parent to look at that in a different way?
The parent, you want the parent to look at it in a different way?
Or even like, I don't know, like how could we approach that differently? Because that's something I see a lot is like parents being like, oh, say you're sorry.
Yeah, yeah. And why? Okay, so let's go to the root of it. Why do we want them to say, I'm sorry?
To show that they like feel bad about what they did, right? Like to show remorse.
Why would we want anybody to feel bad?
Right. Yeah. It's like shame based, would you say?
Same, right?
Okay.
Shaming.
Okay. I'm curious because I know it's something that like doesn't sit right with me, but I haven't been able to quite like verbalize what it is.
Oh,
And when I
it's
see
shaming.
parents do it, it's like something I want to be like, oh, we could do this a little different, I feel like, but I didn't have the like understanding.
You know, I am taking a writing course right now, and it's called self-fiction, which is you retrieve a memory from your childhood and you write about it. So they give you different topics every week. And the one for this week was shame. And I usually I have the topic right away. You know, it's very easy for me. And I couldn't talk about shame. I couldn't talk and say, what's my problem? And what has happened is I have a resistance to shame that is so big, you know, that I cannot speak about it
Mm,
because shame feels so bad.
mm,
Why would I share with anybody? Because you have to submit the paper and everybody comments on it and everything. Why would I share anything about my shame? What am I ashamed of? A lot of things. But I resist feeling ashamed because it doesn't serve any purpose. It only makes me feel bad. Maybe on the long run, after many instances in which I was made to feel ashamed, maybe I will say, I won't repeat this because then they will say something that will make me feel ashamed again.
right. I would say, like, I think some people believe shame creates compliance, right? Like, if we shame a child enough, they're not going to do this behavior. But then it's like we're not teaching them why they're really not doing the behavior and teaching them to learn to think for themselves. So now we're going to shame every single behavior that's unhealthy.
Yes,
Like, that's
yes.
not
That's
sustainable.
the problem. And the problem is, what if you're not there?
Right. They don't know how to think for themselves if this is something that aligns with my values or not. Yeah.
Right, right. I mean, if nobody's looking, which is what happens in schools, but it's what happens in the street, right? People do things, nobody's looking.
That's why I'm big on like not saying because I said so, even like when I'm in an adult role of like explaining we don't do this because of this, so that kids know why we make the decisions we do, so they're not just guessing.
Remember the let me bring it up. Colbert?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so remember the different stages, right?
Mm-hmm. Let me go.
Here they are, okay. Anyone will do. Okay. Where is it? Oh, shoot. Not showing it. Come on. This page didn't show it. Oh, why not? Yeah, let's try this one. Where are you? Okay. Okay, so you have the Colbert here. I don't know if it's Colbert or Colberg. I have no idea. Okay. So these are the stages of moral development, right? So you have the pre-conventional, which is pre-cognitive, pre-logical, right? The first 7 years, the child is only, doing things to avoid punishment, or because it's good for them. It's something that, if I behave, they're going to give me a cookie or whatever. Yeah. How long do we want to prolong that? We want to start when they are verbal, when they understand language. We want to and again, to be inductive. How do you think the other is feeling? How are you feeling after you hit your sister? How do you feel when you threw a tantrum? How do you feel after you were so enraged that you spilled the soup? Now, how do you feel about it? And the shame is already there. You don't need to instill more shame. It's there. But that's where we want to go. No. A little later, the kid wants to please the parent or the teacher, the adult, right? So they want to have a good girl, good boy attitude. And look at this, only, in adolescence, they start to have a morality properly because nobody has inducted it, right? And many people don't go beyond this. They don't go to the social contract, which is when they develop a personal ethics. When they say, I don't do this, nobody's looking, but I won't do it, right? Because I know already that this is not the behavior that I should have. I know the consequences for others, for whatever. And so what we want is an adult that don't call, sorry, I'm going to be political here. We want an adult that don't call a journalist piggy, right? We don't want that to happen, right? Because it's insulting. Nobody needs to tell an adult, should not have to tell an adult that making fun of people is a bad thing, that insulting people is a bad thing. And it's because the person didn't develop a morality. That shows a person, Cramley knows that Colombia is totally divided right now. We have a president that is has motivated in many ways, polarization. So when you see you go to Facebook and people are discussing what the president did or whatever, you have the ones who say he's adorable, he's pretty, he's I'm mocking. He's a savior. Look at everything that he has done. Show what is it that he has done. And on the other side, you have the people who say everything that he does is bad, is filthy, is da 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 da. And brings people to a terrible polarization, right?
Mhm.
Ideas are not discussed anymore. Nobody, they have maybe read the headlines in the paper. You know, maybe they have seen a TikTok on Facebook, but they don't know what they are talking about. They are just using ways to insult each other. You see that? We don't want that. We want morality. We really need it. Okay? Okay, so let me go to today's thing, which is where? Oh boy, why isn't it here? Show it to me. I need to close this window. Hold on. Okay. What do you think? You've seen that in the media? You know, people who insult each other all the time instead of using any ideas. It's become so common.
Yeah. Silvia, I have a question.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to formulate the idea in my mind. In some theories about the conscious parenting, it said that it's a good way when some kids it's wrong, or maybe as for example, if the it is some kids hurt other kids. Yeah, in some theories they said you have to repair, invite the parents to teach
Yes,
kids to repair.
yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. And
So
what is
that's the end part of the inductive discipline is okay, now you know how it feels. Now you know that what you did is wrong. Now what do you do to repair? Yes, absolutely.
okay.
Yeah.
It means okay.
Yeah, but you cannot tell them just go give her a hug.
Yeah, because it's more common that no, I don't want it.
And
I live as parent, I live with my
maybe they
daughter. No, I
comply.
don't want it.
No, maybe they comply, but they
Yeah.
don't mean it,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So I chose this image because I don't know if you know what this is. I don't know how much do you know about this. You know what I'm showing there? What's the image about?
Yeah, the mm,
It's a neuron.
yeah.
Yeah, but what part of the neuron are we showing?
Is it the
The
dendrite?
axon.
The synopsis?
The synapses.
Synapse.
Yeah.
The synapses. So there is so what is a synapsis about?
It sends the transmission
The
of feelings.
connection.
Connection. It's about connection,
Uh-huh.
right? So look at the metaphor there, right? So what we want to help children find is a way to connect to their feelings, connect to the feelings of the other person, connect with the suffering of the other person, right? That's what we want, is to connect instead of, you know, and connection comes with which one of the three systems? What
Tendon.
part of the brain is activated when you're trying to connect?
The emotional,
All of them are about emotions.
the amygdala.
No, that's the fight or flight. Amygdala is the fight or flight response.
Yeah.
Then you have
The other, yeah.
the dopaminergic system, which is all about
I just
what?
don't know which one it is. It's oxytocin. I just don't know where.
That's on the top. Yes, prefrontal cortex.
Okay, I said it just quietly because it's been a while since I've been in a neuroscience class. So I was like, I think it's there, but I don't want to say it loudly.
Prefrontal cortex. So yeah, so in every one of the three systems, and I always call them the first floor, the second floor, and the third floor. When I'm doing therapy, I'm retired now, but when I did therapy, that was the first thing that I would teach. There was always something in a session that was educational, always.
Mm-hmm.
So I taught them about the 3 floors. That's how I call it. So the first floor, and I use the word that about to use, I use that word because you don't want to identify with it.
Mm-hmm.
The first floor is the reptilian brain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So you are walking and there's a lizard. The lizard feels you coming. What does the lizard do? Yes. In what direction do they run?
Away.
No.
Oh.
They usually pay attention to that when you're walking, and you will see that
There's
it
so many lizards here. They normally run in front of me.
runs in front of you.
Yeah, and I almost step on them, and they're huge here.
Yeah, and so this is the fear is there, but the reaction is automatic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Automatic that they do the most stupid thing that they can do. I want you to remember it that way because that's what we do when we are in fight or flight mode.
So this would be the amygdala.
That's the amygdala.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hippocampus, the two of them.
Okay.
Okay. So the hippocampus is the one that keeps the memory,
Right.
right? So
I tell my clients it's their caveman brain. It's their survival instincts.
yeah. So the amygdala with big emotions, the amygdala tends to shrink to no, sorry, to enlarge, and the hippocampus tends to shrink. So look at
Okay.
that. So you don't want to be on fight or flight response all the time.
Right, because that's when people who are chronically stressed or in trauma have memory loss.
Right. And
Okay, that
then
makes sense.
you have the dopaminergic, which is a little above the limbic system. It's part of the limbic system still, you know,
Mhm.
but it's a little above the amygdala. And this one runs on dopamine and serotonin. And it's important. It's a very important system because it is what motivates us to do things. But for example, in a job, um, I'm thinking of, say, for example, that you work for a big company and they laid out people last week, right? Now, the first reaction is it's going to be me. That is the fight or flight. It's going to be me. You go into panic. The
Mhm.
second reaction is, what do I need to do to prevent me from being fired,
Mhm.
right? And so what do? You compete, right? I'm going to do more than blah, blah, blah. I'm going to learn what nobody else knows because you want to eliminate a rival. And I want you to remember that sentence. It's about eliminating the rival. So that's how that part of the brain thinks. It's about eliminating rivals. Okay?
That's the second level, you would say?
That's the second floor, yes.
Okay.
And so it's a little bit more sophisticated than the fight or flight, but it's still something that doesn't lead to peace, does it? Right? You see the other as a rival, what kind of relationship you have, right?
Mhm.
If you have a partner, life partner, and somebody comes close to your life partner, and you feel that there's some empathy between them, what system are you reacting from?
The limbic is the first one because it's the emotions.
Let's not call it the limbic because, as I said, the second one is also limbic. Okay?
What do you mean?
No.
See, the first thing is fight or flight,
Yeah.
which leads to blame and shame and a number of things. But the second one is an exaggeration of that same feeling. Is you start saying,
Anxiety, no.
start
Fear.
competing What does the other
Ah,
person have that I don't have? What
okay.
can I do better? You
Mm-hmm.
know, how can I know if my partner loves me more than, or likes me better than he likes the other person or she, right? So that's where we are. We live in a dopaminergic society. It's all about competition. Look at the ads. Look everywhere in your Instagram or your Facebook or the TikTok or the X, wherever you look, you see a competition,
Mm-hmm.
right? And now you have the third floor. That's where we have the empathy. That's where we have the possibility of being empathetic. This is the most developed part of the brain. It's young. It's only 200,000 years. In it's young that in the evolution of human beings, it's a young part. Only the gorillas have it, and some monkeys, but it's very human. It's very human.
And that would be the prefrontal cortex.
Prefrontal cortex.
Okay.
That's where it is located. Mm, and and it is mediated by oxytocin, right? And oxytocin, as we know, is the hormone of bonding, right? So we call that system the affiliative system, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So that again, back to the synapses here is a connection. Look at it's beautiful. This is what we have in our brains, a system that is all about connecting. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, so we did that already. Do you know that already? So let me, oh wait, hold on. Did I open
Did
it?
that last.
Let me see. We did that. Okay, here. That is okay. So this is the summary of the learning process, and parenting is a learning process. Nobody tells you. Nobody sits you and say, "Oh, you're gonna have a baby."
Mm.
Let me tell you.
Yes.
Nobody does that. They expect that you will know. So there's a lot of experiential learning always, right? But if we don't reflect on the experience, there's not much learning that stays with us, right? So we need a reflection and the dialogue. The reflection is your own thinking, and the dialogue is what somebody else is doing with you, which is inductive. Induction is just having what I'm doing with you guys. When I ask the question, I am inducting, because I know you have the information inside, but you need to weave it together, okay? And then comes the action, right? The real learning has to imply a change. If there is no change, there was no learning. We cannot learn something new from doing exactly the same thing. Remember what they say, they attribute that quote to Einstein. They say if you continue doing exactly the same but expecting different results, that's a stupidity, right? And this is what the parents do. They just escalate. They continue to do the same but escalating. I told you da 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 da, and again they escalate with punishment, withdrawal of love, conditioning, permissions, things like that, and that's not going to do anything. Okay, we talked about this, I think. Yes, remember we talked about how most of the parenting programs are designed, right? And approve them by the courts. Okay. And then this was the last one that we did, I think. All right. So the big problem in parenting, as I see it, is that the parenting is understood as a power struggle. I have to make this child do what I say, right? So what system of the three floors, which floor is activated when you do that?
Second.
Yeah, we're competing. Is the child or me, right? Or I? We'll say I. Okay, so you use sticker charts and timeouts, and you take away privileges, and you forget that behavior has a meaning and a purpose. Do you know what the heart on the right is? That's in New Jersey, where I go for medical checkups. And there's a little bridge, and people bring, I don't know, things like that. They make hearts in the bridge. You know, they do also the locks. They put the locks, but they bring lard, yarn, and they do these little things. And I thought that was cute. People associate love with hearts. But love actually resides in the prefrontal cortex, right? The heart might be ticking faster when you see the person that you love, but love resides in your prefrontal cortex. So we already talked about that. Okay, so I want you to think about this. One of the reasons why the parenting programs these days are focused on behavior so much is because of it's a result of Pavlovian. Remember what happened with Pavlov?
With the dogs.
Huh?
Bells.
The dogs and the bells and the saliva.
Yes. And so we think that that's what we need to do with the children. We need to condition them. And so it's so sad that parenting is based on that. And I told you a story, I think. In the United States, there was absolutely no, by the end of 18th century, there were absolutely no laws or regulation about the rights of children and what parents could do to them. And so there was a family who had a child that when the child misbehaved, they would tie the child to the leg of a bed. They mistreated the child. I think it was a girl. And the neighbors came to see what was happening. And the parents justify it, it behaves like an animal, so we treat the child as an animal, basically. And so that gave the neighbors, after many complaints that they placed and the police couldn't do anything, the authorities couldn't do anything because there were no laws regulating this. It came to a point where the neighbors say, okay, so let's do this. There were laws already in place about how to treat the animals. And so because human beings are rational animals, they use that in court to remove the child from that household. Isn't that sad?
Mm-hmm.
And it was only in the 60s, only in the 60s, 80 years ago, or 40, 60 years ago, that a couple of doctors, they were tired of seeing all these children coming with signs of mistreatment to emergency. And they started to do research about it, and they started to see there was something going on, and they were the ones to describe, the first ones to describe what was called the battered syndrome. Now, the child that comes with, oh, he fell down the stairs. Oh, he jumps too much and he hit his head. Oh, with broken bones and with blues and how do you call that? Also, bruises. We call them purples. In Spanish, we say morados, purples. So that's what was happening. Okay, so why did you do this now? Okay. All right. Okay, let me quiet. Where is, Lizzie, you're the technological girl here. Why did I lose the
If you hit the arrows on your keyboard, it should go to the next slide. You can also hit escape and it should bring up
no,
PSC
not the
Usually this is on too.
or spacebar.
pause. Oh, no, the recording is spacebar. No.
Maybe just
Well,
click
I
the
have to
screen.
go again. There you go. Okay. So this is the sad story of parenting. Now, we need to use science instead of common sense when we raise children. Yeah. Oh, boy. Okay. And all of these things, all of these methods of parenting come from the idea that compliant obedience is the goal of parenting. We talk a lot about this is an obedient girl, this is an obedient boy, right? We look for that. And this, remember the different styles of parenting, this is an authoritarian view. Authoritarian is the parenting style that we don't want. So this is how we train behavior. We treat children like if they were rats. I'm sorry, but that's not what it is. And I'm giving you this idea so that, when you discuss this with parents, you have this in mind. You cannot treat your child like if you're conditioning a rat, right? It shouldn't be that way. That's a Skinner. Oh, okay. And of course, Skinner was influenced by Pavlov. So we don't want this in the family. We don't want compliance, obedience, respect. We don't want a power struggle. When I say no respect, I don't mean it please don't misunderstand me. We need to understand what respect is. What is your idea of what respect is? What's respect for you?
I think that sometimes respect and obedience gets misconstrued, but I feel like respect is more so like a level of like care for the person that you're, I don't know. I'm trying to like find the words for it, but I do know that like I've seen them like respect and obedience. So like you don't respect me if you don't do exactly what I say you want to do or what I want you to do, which I know isn't correct, but I'm trying to think of the words for how I would define it, respect.
So when do you feel respected? Always go back to yourself as the transformational learning. Go to yourself. Put yourself as the subject of whatever you're inquiring in your mind. So when do you feel respected?
Like I would say I respect when I think of respect, I think like dignity and worth of the person.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's a certain level of wanting to, like I have respect for my peers the same way I have respect for my child
But
clients.
what is it? What is respect? You can have it, okay, but what
I
is
know, but I'm trying to think of how to define it, and my words are not coming. I haven't had coffee this morning.
But you know, right? You know, if you're interacting with someone, and the person does something, you know if you're being respected or not. So what you notice? What does feel that like respect?
I would say like consideration for others' feelings would be respect.
Yes, exactly that.
Okay.
Exactly that. It's about the
Sorry, I need caffeine, guys. Took me a second.
Consideration and acceptance. I
Yes.
think so.
But no, because I can respect your ideas and not share them. I
Right.
accept them.
Yeah, I
We
agree.
can have different religion views. We can have different political views. We can disagree, and I can still respect you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I think respect is more the acknowledgement than I guess like acceptance, right? So like we can acknowledge somebody's views without validating them.
And in the case of the child, it's not about the views, it's about what?
Their behavior and their feeling. Well, more their feelings, but I feel like all feelings are valid. You can feel however you want, but you can acknowledge behavior without condoning it.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Okay. So we've said that traditional programs focus on the child behavior. They treat child as an identified patient. That's why the family comes next. The child, they bring the child to fix the family, right? That's what they are doing. The child is the identified patient, right? And we want to see parents as agents of change,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which is a term that we're going to probably discuss more in another session, but that's what we want. Now, parents' role is showing the child how to relate to the world, not how to dominate it. Yeah, when you're telling the child you need to win, it's about domination or relation. What's good coach?
Can you repeat that?
Coach.
Coach. What's a good coach?
Oh, what would be like a good coach?
Yeah. How if you see somebody who's training the kids how to play baseball, how do you know the coach is a good one?
I would say one that doesn't belittle,
That
one that encourages and teaches rather than like belittling and shaming.
correct.
Or ordering.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's about team building. Did you see that series? That Tasso? What is his name? Can't remember. It's on Apple. It's about a coach that is brought to to train a football team, a soccer team in England.
Mm-hmm.
And he does everything that he does is different. I'm gonna recommend you to watch that at least a couple of those
Once you start, you can't stop though. It's one of those shows.
episodes. But you know, there's a part of it that is not as good. But the first few are so incredibly good because it's the guy, the trainer, is so amazing.
Who is the name of the show?
Ted
Team,
Lasso.
Team Lasso.
Ted Lasso.
TIM, Team Lasso.
No, Ted, TED.
No, TEM,
Team.
Lasso, LASSO,
I'm pretty sure it's Ted.
Okay.
Apple TV. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So most parenting programs are good, instilling a lot of shame, actually, right? But we want parenting programs that don't trigger shame, don't leave any trauma, and don't cause any resistance. And yes, you have to be careful with the parent because sometimes they feel vulnerable and they hurt easily because they feel criticized of because of what they are doing. But you think of who is the most vulnerable party in this system? Is
Always
the
a child.
the child? It's always the child.
Mm-hmm.
So never be afraid of siding with the child. Remember what Alison Miller said? You might be the only person in the life of that child who sided with him or her, and that can save his sanity. Okay? So this is really important. So we need new approaches that acknowledge parents' story, history, including intergenerational trauma. We need approaches that foster trust, empathy, and insight between therapists and parents, and are not afraid of pointing a mishandling. You don't need to discuss it. You just need to point at it. You can just say to the parent, I saw you doing this and that. Does it really work? Because if the parent feels that it's not working, remember what they will do. They will amplify. Instead of changing what they are doing, they tend to amplify what they are doing. I slapped you, it didn't work, I'll slap you double, right? It's think about privileges. I am going to withdraw your privileges. You cannot watch TV or you cannot use your phone. It doesn't work. What do you do next? You amplify. And so if you need to amplify whatever you're doing for disciplining the child, it just plainly shows that it's not working. Okay? Okay, you need to address the emotional and practical barriers to implementing the new skills in a parent. So you need to do a lot of explaining of the consequences. You can even say that bad parenting is traumatizing the child because that's what happens. Okay. Remember inductive discipline? So why we use inductive discipline? Because it fosters empathy. Okay? It fosters empathy. It trains the cognitive part of the brain. So I'm going to leave, I know time is running. So here is a summary of what we said before about inductive discipline. And the most important part of inductive discipline, again, is not only that it develops empathy and emotional regulation, but it also promotes what we call prosocial behavior in children. So we have antisocial behaviors and prosocial behaviors. Antisocial is any behavior that fosters competition. That's antisocial. We tend to think antisocial as, like robbing or stealing, lying. Yeah, that's antisocial also. But I'm talking about the relationship. And that also comes from Gilbert, if you want to look it up. Paul Gilbert talks a lot about prosocial and antisocial behavior in children. So this is how you proceed with inductive discipline. You make questions, you let the child draw conclusions, and then do something that is prosocial at the end. And that's the process of inductive discipline. Okay, so these are what two articles that if you can look into that, that would be good. Okay, anything Martin Hoffman. Martin Hoffman was the first one to identify that we are born with empathy. Okay. Questions, and before we go.
Sylvia, this is not an easy 2-minute question. I'd love to pick your brain more. And I have a client I'm working with who has a narcissistic personality disorder. And I'm curious, a lot of his goals are related to parenting, how we could kind of apply this to somebody who struggles to have empathy.
Okay, so you said you have a client who is
With a narcissistic personality disorder, yeah.
Is an adult.
Mm-hmm.
You're losing your time.
What'd you say?
You're wasting
your time. I mean, he's here. I seek a lot of supervision. I'm doing a lot of DBT with him. He's somewhat receptive to me because I'm very blunt with him, but he has a lot of goals about parenting. And I'm curious how I can use like the heart-minded stuff with somebody who like has little to no empathy.
You're already doing it. You're trying to understand, right? You're trying to put yourself in the person's shoes. But it is very difficult because remember this word, a narcissistic person is wounded.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The first time that Freud talked about narcissism, he talked about the narcissistic
It's 11 o'clock.
wound. That's how he called it. Narcissistic wound. So this person has been wounded by parents.
Okay. I might set up a time to meet with you because I want to pick your brain a little bit more about this. I know we're out of time, but I'm very curious how I could apply this because I think this work's so important, but like, how do we use it in those like more specific cases?
In my experience, there's very little that you can do with somebody who's narcissistic.
Right. But if he's coming, we'll do what we can.
Yeah, we will talk about it then.
Okay. Thank you, Silvia.
I'm not going to give you questions. I want you to reflect on whatever we talked today and just try to, maybe there's something that is still in your mind. Write it down before now, when we close the session. Just write it down. What's stuck to your mind? What do you want to know more about? And do your reflection about it. Read a little, look online, use AI. I'm recommending not to use AI. I'm a fan. And the more I use it, the more I like it. And it has been equated to cheating. I don't think so. I think Google does the same now.
Yeah.
First information that you get from Google comes from AI. And Google has been giving us, information the same way that AI does. And in my experience, AI knows a lot more. So I really like it. It saves me time. I never use it to for content. I don't generate content that comes from AI because I would feel that that's cheating. But I do look for information. Like I can sometimes I need to build a letter, and I want the letter to be well put. I need the words to say what I want to say. I ask AI to redact, and they don't. AI doesn't change the content. It just put it in good English. Okay.
When are we meeting next? I don't have anything else on my calendar.
Yeah, happy Halloween. No, Halloween, it's past.
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
So many festivities at the end of the year. So yeah, not the next week. How is no, I am going to gosh, I'm going to New Jersey on the 3rd. But we can do a session maybe on the boy, when am I coming back?
I know Madison has a break coming up that she can't do internship stuff.
Oh God. When let me send you my schedule. I don't remember when am I coming back.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay.
Guys, thank you so much.
Okay,
Thank
so you're
you,
gonna reach out to
Silvia,
us when
and
you get back,
everyone.
you said?
Say that.
You're gonna reach out to us when you get back, you said?
Yeah.
I'm gonna send you an email to
Okay.
let you know when I'm coming back and suggesting a date.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.